Okay, my friends, here it is. The Saturday morning live stream at the Garden Like a Viking headquarters, Zone 5/6, Northern Indiana. Now, yes, we are doing it in this format once again because, like I said, apparently YouTube is really promoting these types of live streams, the vertical method on the mobile app. So, judging by the last live stream that got double the views it normally gets, we're just going to run with it, okay? So let me know where you're at. Let me know what you've got planted for the fall garden. If you're watching this after the fact, let us know what zone you're in and where you are, or what you are planting in the fall garden. That way people can read that and know what they can plant as well. So let me do the sound check real quick. Sunshine. Yes, what did I say in the sound check? Okay, let's see here. A little bit more adjustment. Yes, Meyer Lemons, thank you. Okay, so we got all kinds of cool stuff to show you guys. Yes, Pam, good to see you. Still, I need to practice saying that last name. Is it Potgeier? I'm not sure. Potgeider. Pam. I just call you Pam from South Africa. Meyer Lemons, hello. Terry Goody, hello. Cowgirl in Arizona, good to see you. Yes, Nathaniel Graham, or Graham, good to see you. Val, of course. Freebird, thank you. Says, happy birthday, Nate. Yes, thank you very much. My birthday was on the 24th of July. I'm a Leo. It's right. It's true. And guys, guess how old I was? Just guess. Guess how old I was. Guess how old I turned. So, Blue Wolf, good to see you, my friend. Said sunshine came softly through my window today. How beautiful. Big West, good to see you, my friend. Grow all year, good to see you. 5B, Wisconsin. Frost hardy greens. Yes, definitely. Frost hardy greens. Now, I've got some things that I will show you, and we have just started peas, guys. We just started peas yesterday. I let them soak a little bit in a solution that will help to activate certain enzymes and stuff. It gets a little bit complex, but help to activate certain enzymes with the appropriate microorganisms. It's essentially just the compost tea. Or if you have some JMS or just some leaf mold water also helps, just so that they can soak up some of that biology and some of those blueprints. That's what they need, exposure to the microorganisms. Because yes, the more that you learn about seeds and everything, it's incredible. They will, it will change the whole makeup of the plant when they have exposure to these microorganisms in the very beginning. So it's important. Totally necessary? No, but it helps. So the sugar bond peas, these are a really good variety. And if you guys are planting peas right now, so we are in Northern Indiana, Zone 5/6, and we are just now planting the peas for the fall harvest. Now we got plenty of time, but what you want to make sure for wherever you are, virtually, if you're planting peas in the fall, you want them to be dwarf varieties. Now, I know that you guys have heard me say that if you watch my other stuff, but yes, the 55 days delightful dwarf variety matures early. That's what you want, because if you plant them real tall ones, then like the mammoth melting sugars or something, then it's going to be, they're going to spend too much time setting up that infrastructure before the real frost comes, because the big tall ones, they have to grow so big before they start flowering, and that's going to limit the amount of peas that we will get. So we want the dwarf varieties because they'll set up a little bit of infrastructure and then start flowering, and that's what we want. In particular, the sugar bond, very compact, very wonderful, because you can eat the whole thing. They're a snap, sugar snap. So, and remember, if you guys watch this channel, you already know what I'm about to say. As the weather gets colder, the plants get sweeter because the plant senses the changes in the day temperature, in the nighttime temperatures in particular. And so it knows that it needs to convert some of its starches into sugars to protect the plant, important plant parts. And so those happen to be the parts that we eat. Yeah. So that is really good. And so it'll make them sweeter. If you guys have peas that you plant in the spring, I really don't even want to plant peas in the spring anymore because it's just kind of a waste of time, it feels like. Because by the time the hot weather arrives, the peas they're super starchy and they're not like sugary sweet. And so they're just kind of a disappointment. But I do plant them so that I can nourish the soil and then plant the cucumbers afterwards. And remind me to mention about the cucumbers. I want to see what you guys are saying, though. Freebird says, you told us you're turning 39. Oh, yeah, true. Yes, only a number. Yes, of course. Definitely is a number. CC says, hello, Leo here too. Big 5-0. Yes, I hope you're talking about yourself because I'm not the big 5-0. 43, 39, yes. Mom computer, 39. Yeah, you guys already know. Oh, look, my actual mom is on here. Happy birthday, Sunshine. Yes, thank you, Mom. Yeah, 39, guys. 39, that's right. This is going to be a weird one because, well, not this one, but this birthday, it truly felt like absolutely nothing. Like just I mean, everybody celebrated and it's wonderful, and we're gonna go out to sushi tonight. You know, this is really wonderful with my family and stuff. Had a wonderful birthday, but this is one that just doesn't feel like anything. It's not like, okay, it's just another day. It doesn't feel like, oh, now I'm another year older or anything like that. But what's gonna feel strange is next year having to say 40, because that used to sound old, but now that actually sounds like the new young to me. Because it's like, only 40? Man, I got like 40 more years of vitality and health at least, you know? And so, because we have all the practices, and so long as there's no serious accidents or something, then we're gonna be super healthy into old age. And so, I feel better every day, virtually. I feel better, I feel fresher, I feel more capable. You know, people are like, oh, so you're 39 now, so you're going to be moving out of your prime. You know, you're going to be leaving your prime years. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, I guess as far as physical resilience, or no, not even resilience, but physical like recuperation. Yes. Okay. The body itself, you feel a little bit more, and you can't recover from things quite as fast. But even that, but mentally, cognitively, and spiritually, I just feel I'm getting more and more clear, more and more sharp. And there's the experience that comes from having years of life. And so you just know, it's like the wisdom, you know, you just know things that you should do, things you shouldn't do, when to call it and when to go all in, you know, it makes life so much different, you know. So I feel like I'm just becoming more and more prime every year. Every day, literally. So, anyways, thank you, Freebird. It says you have a long life ahead of you, Nate. Yes, I do. I do. Rick, my friend, what's up? Says enjoy your 30s, Nate. In 10 years, you will wish it back. Yeah, maybe. You know, it's like about wishing the years back and stuff. It's like, well, okay, you know. I had a crazy ride up to this point. Life has been so incredibly good to me and stuff, but I would not, you don't necessarily need to go back through all the learning experiences, you know? It's like, I'm glad that I survived everything and that I have the wisdom and the knowledge now from those experiences. But would I do them all again? No, I wouldn't. I would just do it totally differently now, but it's a moot point because here we are. There is no going back. So, okay, guys, let's see here. Thanks for all the happy birthday wishes, my friends. Yes. Let's see here. Emperor Penguin says, can you not do this live format? What are you talking about? Yeah, we're going to stick with it because these have been getting way more views than the other methods. So we just got to go with it, guys, because this is, you know, I'm a professional YouTuber now. So you got to kind of do. Let's see here. So what were we talking about? Okay, cucumbers. That's right. So the reason that I like to succession cucumbers after peas in the springtime, One, because of what it does to the soil. The soil helps to, it helps to the rhizobiobacteria in here, in the roots of the legumes, in particular the peas and stuff, then they will, they have the unbelievable ability, it almost seems magical, the ability to pull nitrogen out of the air. Did you know that the air itself, now I used to be a scuba diving instructor in Thailand and in Greece, so I used to know this for sure, but the air that we breathe is like 79% nitrogen. We don't even breathe nitrogen, or we don't even use nitrogen. And then it's like 20% oxygen, and then 1% everything else, with a tenth of a tenth. I mean, a tiny little fraction of that is CO2, the air that we're breathing. It's like 79% nitrogen. And so these bacteria over the millennia and the eons of time have developed the capability to harness that nitrogen out of the atmosphere, and to create it, make it into a form that the plant can absorb. And so the plant knows this. The plant knows this, of course. And so the plant says, okay, I need those bacteria at my root system because they got what I need, which is the nitrogen. So the plant says, I'm going to take all the elements, I'm going to pull the carbon out of the atmosphere, I'm going to combine the minerals in the soil, and I'm going to it's all going to be powered by the sun. So I'm going to use the little photons that I'm catching from the sun, and it unlocks those photons and then uses that as energy. And it says, okay, I know what those bacteria want to eat. I know what they want to eat. So I'm going to manufacture the exact type of sugar that those rhizobiobacteria that fix the nitrogen, that they will be attracted to. And so then it says, okay, let's do it. And it pumps it all into the earth. It exudes it into the soil. We call these exudates. And it attracts those exact type of bacteria that have the capability to pull the nitrogen out of the air and make it into the form that the plant can use. It's literally the expression of symbiosis, of perfection. When you see it deeply, it totally takes your breath away, and you're just at the perfection of it all. It's just insane. Okay. And so we utilize that. We can utilize that to our advantage. How exactly does it all work? I don't think we'll ever know. There's no need to know. We know roughly how it works, but we do know how we can use it to our advantage. We know that plants grow really well when they follow one of the plants that can do that. That can do that with the because not all plants can do that. Only certain types of plants can create that symbiotic relationship with those bacteria. So if we cut the roots down, leave them in the ground, or we can till them in through the green manure method, whatever comes after peas and beans grows really well. Grows really well. Yes. And so that is why I plant the cucumbers after the peas. And the cucumbers will do really well after the peas. I do amend as well, of course, but you can't amend. No amount of amendments can replace microbial, that kind of stuff. So also what we do by waiting until like the middle of June, almost July, to plant our, pretty much July almost, to plant our cucumbers, we avoid the onslaught of the cucumber beetles. Okay, that's the number one way to get rid of the cucumber beetles. Is to just plant your cucumbers as late as possible. Yeah, because they will come out in May and early June and seek out immediately. They want the food source, so they will seek out your cucumbers. But if you don't have any yet, then they're not gonna thrive and recreate and stuff. So after a couple of years of doing that, it will really help a lot. You'll see. So, Jania McDonald, $20. Thank you, my friend. Says, happy birthday. All right. Appreciate the contribution. Appreciate the birthday wish. Thank you very much, Jania. And also thank you very much, Val, who has made a contribution via PayPal $20. Thank you very much. Says, happy birthday. Have a fantastic year, my friend. And a huge thank you for all you do. You are very welcome, my friend. And thank you for being here, being an integral part of the tribe on both channels. It's amazing when you know that people are benefiting. It's just such a wonderful energy. It feeds off of itself, you know? The energy does. It's like you're benefiting, getting healthy, and you're bringing that energy here, and I'm, of course, getting healthy all the time, and everyone's just healthy and thriving. That's what it's all about. So, Freebird, ooh, you just picked... Okay, Freebird says, I just picked the biggest watermelon I've ever grown thanks to Nate. Now, that's wonderful. Thank you for giving me credit for that. That's kind of you. But what's most impressive is that you're also in Indiana. So what kind of watermelon did you have that was ripe at this time? It was not an Alibaba. No way. So yes, Meyer Lemon says, planted my cucumbers and my squash late, and I've only seen one vine borer moth. Yes, that is the key, guys. That's the key. And most people, that's why I don't rush around. Now, granted, we're in northern Indiana. We have a wonderful growing season. We do. Now, if I was in zone 2 or 3, if I was way up in Canada somewhere with a real short growing season, I would probably do things differently. But I don't think you even have those pests there. So it's a moot point. But the squash vine borer and the cucumber beetle. Now, everybody wants to rush to plant their stuff super early in the springtime, but that just opens up problem. Then they're hitting me up. Hey, how do I get rid of this? How do I get rid of that pest? What's the thing for cucumber beetles? And organically, there really is nothing for cucumber beetles. There really isn't. I mean, you can try the JDOM, artichoke and stuff like that. Yes, to varying degrees of success, it can work, but nothing works as good as just delaying their food source, planting until, because cucumbers grow super fast, guys. You don't need to. Just a couple of weeks ago, I planted my run of pickling cucumbers. Yes, the run of pickling cucumbers, and they're gonna grow, and they're exploding because the soil's warm and everything. If you guys plant cucumbers, right before last frost, okay, May 15th, or you're planting them like May 10th, and it's just like the cucumbers sprout and they just sit there with those 2 leaves forever. Okay, they just sit there for what seems like forever, and they barely grow, and it takes them a long time. It takes them weeks and weeks and even several months. It's because the conditions are not right. If you plant them July 1st, you will see those things sprout and just grow crazy. And I've started starting up everything now. I start up everything now because I'm just around here. It's just too much of a battle trying to keep your seedlings safe for that time, So I start up everything. Blue Wolf says, I followed your advice and waited to plant things. Best growth I have ever had. Great advice. Yes, thank you. And this is from someone with experience, so they know. I know Blue Wolf has got experience in growing. So yes, thank you. Mom Computer says, yes, he's our young man. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah. If you talked to me 10, 15 years ago, I'd say 39. That's an almost old man. But the older that you get, it's like, wait, 40 is like fresh and young. Because I'm like, it's a trip. It's just such a trip, It's a wonderful thing. But I'm still in my 30s, so we don't even have to talk about it. Let's see. Nathaniel Graham says, Nate, indigenous predatory microorganisms does work on grasshoppers, beetles, anything with chitin containing shells. You make IMO with 300 grams of crickets, 700 grams white rice. Yeah, so I've heard about IPMO. I have my serious doubts about that, though. So time will tell. I don't know that many people doing it, but I know that it's taking the internet by storm. I know that a lot of people are talking about it. I don't know how much experience you have with it. If you do have experience, let me know. Show me pictures. Show me, join the Discord chat. Let me know about it. But I have my serious doubts about it at this moment. Another thing I have my serious doubts about is all this talk about yeast. All this, just make the yeast fertilizer. I mean, I just got a comment on one of my videos about when I was talking about the tomatoes are not, they're still green. And somebody was like, just apply the yeast fertilizer and they'll turn red right away. Okay, what does that even mean? And so then someone sent me, a number of people have sent me this video that's exploding about, explosive growth in my garden after adding this fertilizer. It's a real clickbaity name, clickbaity title, clickbaity thumbnail. The whole channel's super clickbaity. There's nothing against you if this is you. It's a business. I understand that. I understand what you're doing. But at the same time, I also understand. I went through and watched a bunch of your little 4 and 5 minute videos. At the same time, most of those are, I don't want to outright. Well, most of those are less than completely accurate. Okay, we could say it that way. Most of those videos are super gimmicky. Okay, and you're capitalizing on that, and you're confusing people. And so anyone can just make a video where they mix yeast and sugar together and pour it on these little tiny plants. And then while you're pouring it on the plants, just make a bunch of bold claims. They don't say how any of this works. They don't say any of the microbiology. Okay, what is the yeast doing? And how is that mixing sugar, white table sugar, and yeast giving you any more or different kind of strains of yeast than the aerated compost tea? Because using the aerated compost tea, you're collecting local indigenous types of wild yeast from the atmosphere. That's why the compost tea smells like freshly baked bread. That's why it smells that way, because there's a good, delicious blooms of wild yeast. You don't add yeast strains from the store, okay? So there's tons of yeast. Yes, Big West says yeast is in the air. Yes, all that we need, it's already in the air. So we are brewing it in the aerated compost tea. Now, so the guy just kind of makes, and there's many videos like this now, many, but this guy in particular makes the video and shows him pouring this little slurry water all over these little plants. Most of them are little seedlings and stuff, and then just makes a bunch of bold claims. Using this yeast fertilizer will produce luscious blooms and will strengthen root hormones, and just makes a bunch of claims. And I'm like, okay, how? Because that's not true. That's just not true. Most of what you're saying is not accurate. And most of what you're saying actually applies to any fertility that you would add to the soil. So anyways, but it's got, 795,000 views in the past 3 months. Okay. So obviously it's working, even though it's super misleading. And I know this, it's catchy. It's all, unfortunately, this is like a title and thumbnail game. Okay. YouTube's like social media is all about catchiness. It's not about factual information. It's not about being what's actually right and truthful. It's about what's engaging. That's what matters. What's engaging. That's all that matters. And so the thumbnail's super catchy. It's got some fluorescent liquid, pouring it on some plants. And then the title is super clickbaity catchy. And the video's only 4 minutes long. So click, 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 click. And so that gets shown to 790,000 people, and then someone else might make a video that's got loads of high quality experience-based knowledge in it, laid out in a very concise form, and just nothing, just 2,000 views, just nothing, because it's not as clickbaity and engaging, I guess, So there's my rant on that. I just want to say you have to be careful, okay? So I'm not buying into the yeast. All of a sudden, everyone's asking me about yeast fertilizer when that was never a thing last year or the years before. Now, there are some circumstances. There is a few long fermented fertilizers that I have had experience with where you do add yeast, but it's nothing like these ones that we're talking about, okay? So the thing about yeast is that just make the aerated compost tea, and that's all the yeast that you will need. Okay, that's all the yeast that you'll need, and be very leery of videos that just make wild claims. But then it's like, okay, how? How does that work? Do a little bit of research, and so based upon my whole understanding of it's like the electroculture thing, you know, stick these things in the ground here, stick these little antennas in the ground, and then say goodbye to pests and diseases. Okay, how? How is that working? Well, it's atmospheric magnetism. Okay, how? What about it? You know, well, it's the atmospheric magnetism. Okay, I still don't. You're still not explaining it. That's not a reasonable explanation. You know, you have to say, okay, well, it is these exact ions that interact with what in what way. You know. Anyways. Let's see here. So, yeah, I'm glad that you guys know that all about the clickbait things. Yes. Oddball Paul says, I love a good catchy title. It's true. I mean, I wish I could. I don't get on. See, I'm just a bit old school in that I don't do the AI thing. I don't go to Chat GPT and say, what's the best title for this and that? You know, I've tried it a few times, and it's I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I like it to be more organic than that, really. So, look at you guys. Mom Computers mentions the Fiskers. Big Will Dogs mentioning underculture. Yeah. Yes. Yes, Spamosaurus says, if that worked, industrial farming would be using it instead of expensive pesticides. Yeah, exactly. Definitely. So, but as well, a lot of these videos you gotta check. See, this is if you watch my latest video about the potatoes, or I mean about the I did a garden tour, and at one point in there I show you the potatoes that I'm growing. Now these are Austrian crescent potatoes. They're long. They take like 120 days, so they've been planted for quite some time now. Now we planted those in the Symphylan bed. Okay, so as many of you know, I have a bed that has been ravaged by Symphylans. And they are very difficult to get rid of, organically or not organically. Even chemicals can hardly get rid of them. There's barely any chemicals that can get rid of them. And so the internet says to plant potatoes. Now, the internet has said, James Prigioni and several others, probably several others because they watched his video. And so now they say, well, just plant potatoes. But like on Instagram, like 150 people said on one of my shorts about it, well, just plant potatoes. Okay, well, how? I mean, what does that mean? And how does that work? You know, how is planting potatoes going to do it? Does that kill them or does that just deter them? So, but nobody can ever answer any of that. So anyways, I put it to the test. So we planted potatoes right there. Now the potatoes are growing perfectly. That's for sure. Okay. But one thing that is not clear is that I'm pretty sure about now is that it doesn't actually kill them. It's just a food source they will not eat. They just don't mess with the potatoes. That's the thing. Because I pulled up a potato and I saw some Symphylans directly on the potato. And so that proves that it doesn't kill them. There's something about it that they are not, I think the potatoes might just grow so fast that they're unable to eat them or something. Or maybe there's some kind of toxin, but it does not kill them. Because what has actually happened is it has made them migrate to the adjoining bed that did not have them before. So it is so the potatoes, I'm saying that they are, and this is not 100% conclusive yet, but I'm saying that the potatoes does not kill the Symphylan. The Symphylan is a major garden pest. If you get it, it's very unfortunate because they only attack super nice, rich soil. Okay, and I only got them in the bed. Listen to this, guys. This is important. Okay. Especially with the no-till type and organic farming, I really pushed it. I wanted to find the upper limit of how much organic matter you can really grow with, and how much would be too much. So for the past several years in these beds, I brought in, I mean, tons, literally metric tons of like manures and leaves from all around and crop residues and stuff in these particular beds. They were almost like a compost pile, essentially, and was planting right into it. Now, the plants were doing great until the symphyllans showed up. In those beds only, where there was way too much organic matter. In those beds only. They're not anywhere else in the garden. And so that's the upper limit. You can reach too much. This is for sure now. Okay, Alex Coonan says you need to do a soil test on that bed. I want to know the organic matter percentage and nutrient levels. Would be good to know. Yeah, I mean, I would consider doing that. I'm pretty much not about soil tests because they don't tell you anything useful. But maybe in that situation. So Val says, so what are you going to do to get rid of them? Well, that is yet to be determined. So we will have to see. I think I'm going to do a total garden overhaul this fall in the month of November. And I'm going to bring in that tiller and just till everything up hardcore. Remove all the wood and everything, till it all up, and then just put in 2x12 beds, wood beds. I think that's what I'm going to do with drip lines. Because I'm not going another summer with the worrying about the rain and all that stuff. No, I'm just not doing it. So, yes, Grateful Ed says, those things seem to come out of the leaf matter. Maybe avoid that. They definitely came from some of that kind of stuff. Yeah. Linnea says, yeah, he should try to make IPMO from them, but, just dismiss it. I'm not dismissing it completely. I'm just saying that, okay, well, to make IMO is a huge ordeal, for one. And for two, I don't understand the mechanism yet. Can you explain it to me, Linnea? Can you explain it to me, please? How does this work? And how is this just now getting traction? I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm not dismissing it at all. But I am saying that to go through the whole huge ordeal of making IMO doesn't sound yet like it's going to be fruitful for me. So we will see, though. If I start hearing other reports, or if somebody is like, no, this is how it works. Oh, and it clicks and it makes sense, I'll make it. So, no, Lisa says, are you going to get rid of the soil in the bed to get rid of the symphyllans? No, I'm not going to. So we will see. We will see. Venice Weeks, 50 Australian dollars. Thank you very much, my friend. Did you have a question with that or not? It just says, let's celebrate their first super on a live stream. Thank you very much, my friend. Is that Australian? I think I just said Australian dollars, but it's A. So thank you very much for the tip. Appreciate that. Big West, that is exactly right. Says, someone from Africa pointed out a positive aspect of your teaching. You speak so broken English people can get it. You traveled and know how to connect to the world, not BS them with hooks. Yeah, that makes sense about talking about the clickbaity stuff. Definitely, that is one thing that traveling the world will teach you fast, to speak to non-English speakers, and how to enunciate and how to use particular words, how to convey the meaning with the simplest words possible. Because really, what good are knowing a bunch of words? When you've got a really rich vocabulary, what is the point if nobody can understand you? Just to make you sound smart, using a bunch of big words that have really complex meaning? Well, if you can convey the same thing with much simpler words that everyone can understand, I think that's what it's all about, in my opinion. Yeah. Will Arks says, give us some repeat secrets. Ooh, what would you like? What would you like? What kind of secrets? Yes. Venice says, looking forward to your farm stay. Yes, I will want to visit from Townsville, North Queensland, Australia. Yes, definitely, guys. It's a few years off, no doubt, but it will be a reality. Absolutely. I already see this. So it will be a place everybody can come, and we will have so many different things. Yes, so many things. Yes, Pam says, simplicity is the essence. Yes. Who was it? I think it's attributed to Einstein that said, make things as simple as possible, but no simpler, or as simple as necessary. Wait, I forget the exact thing, the exact quote, but it really made sense. Make things as simple as possible, but no simpler. Meaning, make them simple, but not like absurdly simple to where it doesn't get the point across. Yeah. Yes. Let's see. Nathaniel Graham says, the value of IMO is propagating very ancient and the most diverse microbes possible. Leaf mulch is good, but ancient oak litter in the middle of the woods is better. Absolutely. If you've watched the videos on my channel the past 2.5 years, you understand that I fully understand that topic, and that I recommend fully getting local diverse microorganisms. But I stopped making IMO once I discovered leaf mold, real leaf mold, not leaf mulch. I don't know if that's a communication break error, but leaf mold, the real leaf mold soil, I don't understand how going through the huge long process of making IMO is any better at all than just getting leaf mold soil from the forest. And here there's still plenty of forest left to get that from. So I could understand if you if you're like in California or in certain places or in certain other places where there's no wilderness at all except for like national parks, maybe then you could go in with your IMO box and get, because then you don't have to take anything from the forest. So that could be, all right. That could be, but the thing that I am, in my experience, the leaf mold and JMS, and that is why I put leaf mold into my aerated compost teas as well. I know it multiplies the bacteria and then helps to grow and maintain the fungi at least, and the mycorrhizal spores and everything, all that kind of stuff. It helps to maintain and then apply through the aerated teas. So again, if anyone can give me a clear, definitive, okay, this is why making IMO, and we're talking about in the tradition of Korean natural farming. We're not talking about just indigenous microorganisms. We're talking about making IMO with the leaf mold into IMO 2, into IMO 3, into IMO 4 with the 50 pounds of rice bran and all that stuff, shoveling it over and everything. So if you can explain to me why that would be superior than true leaf mold from the soil or from the forest, please do that. And you could write me, you could put it in the Discord chat under JDOM, the JDOM section. Yeah. Let's see here. Alex Coonan says, Nate, I don't understand why if you were trying to push the upper limit of the bed, you wouldn't check the levels the bed is at where you started to have the symphyllins. Because it's, I'm not against it. I'm just saying why I haven't really is because I don't, a test doesn't mean anything to me. It doesn't tell me what's plant available. It just doesn't tell me anything really. So if you're used to reading tests and you're into testing your soil and then adjusting with certain things in that manner, that's like a different sort of philosophy. But I don't test anymore. And I don't encourage testing just because in my philosophy, this is just my philosophy, and my practice over the years that I've distilled and developed, that there's no need to test. There's no need to test the soil. Now, is there a place for it? I'm sure. And is this one? Possibly. But what would the test tell me? So mom computer. It's funny. That's funny, my friend. I keep it classy. How about that? I keep it classy. Farmer Cheryl says Charles Dowding does no-till, no-dig potatoes. Definitely you can do that. Yes, the Ruth Stout method is wonderful for no-till, no-dig potatoes. Now, you also have to remember, and whenever anyone mentions Charles Dowding or Simplify Gardening or Red, is it Red Gardening or Red? It's another great channel. Or Hugh Richards. I have to remind them that these people live in the UK, which is a phenomenal growing zone for most things. Not if you're trying to grow like really heat loving stuff, but anything other than that, the UK is phenomenal for growing. Plants love overcast and cool. Now, they really do. And so things grew super well in Northern California in the wintertime when it was overcast and rainy and cool the whole time. And so you just have to remember that. You have to keep that in mind a little bit, So it's like, well, Charles Dowding goes out into home acres and he's got this just thriving, everything just gets ample rain all the time. And he just digs into a little bit and he just puts his little plug into there and boom, it grows just like that. And, that's really nice. But when you've got like roasting heat and drought and just different and heavy, thick clay soil, it can be different. It can be different. Spamosara says, I struggled to grow peppers in Arcata. They didn't love overcast. Yeah, that would be peppers in Arcata, definitely. Peppers and tomatoes, certain types of tomatoes, those things. Maybe corn wouldn't grow so well there, definitely. So, let's see. Let's see here. Nathaniel Graham says, I'll post pictures from dark microscopy showing the microbial difference between JMS and IMO, so we can close the door on why is IMO worth it. Well, that would be great, but that will not close the door on anything. That will just be another little understanding, yes, but that will not close the door. I'm sorry, but I definitely want to see that and explain to me exactly what you're talking about and why that would be better. CJ, the preparing prepper, says, might be totally off topic, but zone 6A, what's the best way, in your opinion, to possibly growing and getting chicken of the woods? Any ideas? Chicken of the woods is extraordinarily difficult to grow, to cultivate. Extraordinarily. So you can get the spores, the substrate. You can get the spawn from North's Spore. There's links in the description to go to there. And if you want to get something there, use the code that is in the description. But anyways, they sell the actual bags of spawn, and you can inoculate logs. They have to be oak, though. They have to be oak. Chicken of the wood grows on oak. And so, but they say, I've never tried to do it, but they say that it is the toughest. The toughest of all the strains to grow is the chicken of the woods. So I don't know. So let us see here. Megan McGuire, can you talk more on your future plans in depth for your channel and gardens? I am really excited to see where your knowledge and experience takes you. Thank you, my friend. Yes. I've talked about it a lot on this channel and stuff. It's just the whole thing of where there will be a school, there will be a homestead, some land where we will have a school, and it will have all these different skills, all the videos you've seen on my channel, plus so much more in person. We will have animals there as well. That is a very big differentiating factor. So there will be animals there that we can use. It will be totally closed as possible. We'll be growing all of the stuff for everything. And we'll have seminars, we will have workshops, we will have, work stay opportunities, woofing, that kind of thing. We will have, now there will also be a spiritual aspect to it as well. If you're part of the Thrive Like a Viking tribe, you'll understand where this would come from, very earth based. And so, but that wouldn't, it will all just be one. And so the channel will be part of it, but eventually these videos, the videos on the channel are going to have to change a bit to be a bit more about, okay, we're looking for land. Here's what we're going to look for. And then there will have to be certain things, because there will be a lot of new things that I'll be doing, and that we will be doing. And I'll be documenting everything, every aspect of everything, but the videos will have to change from just being little 8-minute brief tutorials about how to do something. I'm not sure how I'll do it yet. It'll evolve organically, but it will be such that there will be a lot more things I'm learning as we go along. So I'm taking this base of knowledge and experience, and I lived off grid in the mountains of Northern California for several years, so it's nothing new to me. But there will be many new things, and there will be a lot of things I'm experimenting with, especially the livestock. Now, I was part of caretaking for some hogs, a milk cow, the chickens. There were some rabbits for a while, and goats. I was part of caretaking for all of that, but it never fell on me to do the things. You know what I mean? So that will be different. There will be learning experiences. So I will be open about all of that, and you will see it with me. So and there will be kind of a little bit longer of videos, but more in like the format of, okay, look at what we're doing. Here's, different experiment. There will be so many things happening. So it will evolve and change a lot. And I already see this. Yeah. And so Venice Week says, yep, looking forward to visiting and learning from you and putting money aside for my holiday stay. Nice, my friend. Yes, definitely. All you guys can be there, and that will be that kind of thing. That's why when I look for land, it needs to be enough acreage, at the bare minimum, it needs to be like 20 acres, but preferably like 50. And it needs to be within an hour or so of like an airport, a major kind of airport. I'm not looking yet, because we're focusing on building the revenue streams that will finance this whole operation. That's what we're focused on. So writing the book this winter, beginning to write books, this channel, the fertilizer business, the company that will get evolving over time. All of that stuff is about creating the streams of revenue that will finance all of that, because obviously nothing is going to happen without the money. And so there will be that. Now, once it's like, okay, I can start looking for land, then I really feel like on the east coast of Lake Michigan somewhere, not all that far from like Grand Rapids area, an hour, give or take, each sort of way. Because I really like the growing climate. I like the harsh winters with a lot of snow, and I like the mild summers. And that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And it's still you can still get land relatively cheap that is still kind of wild there in Michigan. It's not like here in northern Indiana where every inch has just been decimated for profit. So we can get 5 more feet of corn if we just cut all these trees down. It's like a wasteland here in many ways. Grow all year, doing on your own or looking for investors? I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I don't know yet. That part of it, the school won't be focused. It's not like about a money making up thing. It's about like a life purpose kind of thing, an actualizing kind of thing. So it will, the fertilizer company will be all about making money, though. That will definitely be. That's what the whole thing's about. So everyone's like, hey, why can't you just give us your fertilizer recipe? Well, because that's the business, you know. But guys, if you've got the Viking granular fertilizer, let me know. Well, I already know. If you used the right amounts of it, you've got phenomenal results. So let us know. Go to the Viking Discord chat, and in the section says Viking nutrients. Show us some pictures, yes, and give us your testimony of it. Give us some feedback if you think that there's something needs different. Let us know. But again, nutrients is only one of the 5 things plants need. What are the 5 things? Light, water, air, nutrients, and it all has to happen at the right temperature. So the Viking granular will take care of the nutrients. You can guarantee that's not your issue, you know, from there out. So yes, Big Wheel Dog says, I use an if it ain't broke mentality. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. When it comes to my gardening, why people complicate things they don't have to confuses me. Great soil gets great plants. Definitely, they want to overcomplicate things. Yes. Because it comes from a lot of people think that they do more than they actually do. They think I'm growing the plants in some way, but you cannot ever do anything to the plant grows itself. The only thing you can do is ensure that everything is there exactly when the plant needs it. So, Alex Forgay, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate the contribution. Says, good morning, Nate. I have bloom fertilizer from last year. It's been kept in my garage and it gets really hot in there. When I opened it up, it was really stinky. Should I get rid of it? Yes. Yeah, it's not. The bloom fertilizer is a hydrolysate. Okay, so it should smell sweet. Almost a little bit like a wine, kind of, but not like whoa, make you pass out. But it should smell sweet. Okay, so it should not be rancid. So I would throw it. I would pour it on the compost pile or do something with it, but don't put it on the plants. But it's okay. I'm going to show you guys this video, and this upcoming week is going to be a bloom boosting foliar spray. Look how big this thing is. A bloom boosting foliar spray. Foliar only, but you can also water it in, but it will be very beneficial. So yeah, if you had it in the refrigerator, it would have been fine, but that's not really going to work now. So let's see here. So yeah, I would definitely do that. Let's see. Freebird, I think. Donald Hughes says, what kind of music do I play to get female flowers on my white scallop? I would say a little Keith Sweat. What do you think about that? Huh? That might get the female flowers. But honestly, though, I've done research since last week. You asked about the female flowers on the squash plants. And so I made the comment. I said, I have never experienced that. So I don't know exactly, because mine always do. So the very next day, MI Gardener put out a video, about what if my zucchini are only putting out summer squash. Now, MI Gardener is one of the few gardening channels that I actually watch. Sometimes if I need to know something, like if I have like a hunch or I need to confirm something, I'll go to MI Gardener usually, because he's got pretty solid knowledge. I'm liking it. And so let's see, what was I going to say? And so he had several recommendations, and then I also went to several other sources and was reading into it, and then sort of used my own understanding. And I've come to the conclusion that the soil was not rich enough. I think that is your issue. The soil was not rich enough. Now, I'm saying that because this year I added the Viking granular nutrients big time to the squash. And if you watch my garden tour video, you will see this white scallop squash plant is at least 15 feet across, maybe more. It might be 20 feet across by now. and it's just producing boatloads of squash, and the leaves are like this big, and it's just insane. Now, it's got so many female flowers on it. So does the Pattinson marble, the yellow one, and it was like almost all female flowers. It was just tons and tons and tons of female flowers. So is the butternut or the honey nut squash that I've got, tons and tons and tons of female flowers because they've got supercharged nutrients. They've always have because I used manures in the past, but now I'm just Viking granular nutrients and aerated teas, compost teas. And so the granular nutrients are super concentrated. So it's a whole different world. We'll be getting more. I'll explain a lot more about granular nutrients and things like alfalfa meal, feather meal, bone meal, blood meal, azomite, all that kind of stuff next year. We'll get more into that so you guys can learn about that stuff. But it gets a little bit more complex, and you can throw your soil out of whack if it's not in the right ratios. And so that's why I don't really touch on it that much. So you can add tons of compost and manures and stuff, and it's very, very forgiving. But so I would say that it is the nutrients, really. And now I know that you say, now I also don't know how much sun. It looks like you got a bunch of shade trees all over the place. So I don't know if the sun is going to, if there's enough sun. Okay. So because, and I learned this, I got to give credit. I learned this from MI Gardener, and it makes perfect sense. That's why I'm saying it, because it makes perfect sense that so the squash plants and the cucumber, or the squash and the zucchini, everything in that family, they grow like in clusters, so they will, and naturally they would grow a vine, put out a squash, they would have a bunch of seeds in it, and the squash plants would compete, and generally like the biggest, strongest one would grow. But then right over there'd be another couple that are big and strong, that are growing. And so, like for example, if I let this one white scallop squash go, and I just didn't do anything, next year there would be like 50 plants, 50 squash plants, because everywhere that there was a squash, there would be a plant the following year. And they'd be like in a span of like 20 feet, give or take. So the plant says, okay, well, if one plant is not doing good, then we need to, instead of spending our energy on trying to produce female flowers and then trying to produce fruit, which takes a ton of energy. All right. Instead, that plant is going to say, let us just contribute to the greater good of the whole and produce only male flowers so that we could keep the gene pool tight, keep the gene pool nice and strong, and fertilize some of the other female flowers. That's what the plant, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. If the plant says we're not going to be able to have, if it senses because of lack of light, lack of nutrients, or stress, or pest, it says, look, we're not going to be able to fruit all the way to the end. So let us just help bolster the chances of fertilizing another squash's female flowers, and we'll just produce all male flowers. It makes perfect sense. And so that's what's happening for sure. And so that's why it does that. And that is absolutely, like when you have a certain level of experience and knowledge, you can hear something or read something and just a bunch of dots automatically connect and it just clicks. And it says, okay, that makes sense. And then by looking at the plants and the way that they grow, it just all makes sense. So that is what is definitely happening. And I would say it's probably lack of nutrients, because I put an absurd amount, like 3 quarts of the Viking granular nutrients. Because again, I wanted to test the upper limits to see, okay, can I burn the plants with this Viking granular? And apparently not. All that has happened is that the plant is just Jurassic and massive and got tons and tons and tons of squash. So there we go. Let's see here. Alberto, $5. Thank you very much for the consistent contribution, my friend. I appreciate that. Freebird said something. Okay, so Freebird said something about the Alibabas, and you might have picked it too early. Now, that's what I was wondering. I was wondering, do you know some kind of thing that I don't? Because the Alibaba is like a 120-day watermelon. It's a full season. It wouldn't be until at least the beginning of September that you would really be getting a fully ripe Alibaba, as far as my experience goes. Now they can be overripe. They can get overripe, but last year we didn't harvest ours until literally the frost came, and many of them were overripe, but several of them were perfect, and it was the best watermelon I ever had, the best ever. So yes. Yeah, this year is very unfortunate though. The whole crop of watermelons, it got decimated by pests, some kind of creature. Very unfortunate. So there is a okay, Meyer. So several questions I want to answer. Meyer Lemon says, Nate, does the heat and sun destroy the granular nutrients as well? Now, are you talking about leaving the bucket in the sun? That's not what you want to do. So yeah, I mean the enemies of storage are heat, light, air, and moisture. So yes, it would. Now, if you're talking about top dressing, then not really. The best way to top dress, and which I just did. So if you guys have got the Viking granular nutrients and you've got full season crops, you need to top dress with them. So I just took about another half of a quart and took the mulch up, the straw mulch. I got about 6 inches of straw mulch around each of my tomatoes, and took that up, sprinkled about a half of a quart, maybe even closer to a full quart of the Viking granular, and then I watered it in real well, and then put the straw back on top. Now that is going to, watering it in is going to help with the water-soluble nutrients, but it's also going to help kickstart the microorganisms are going to start digesting all that stuff in a heartbeat because it's shaded out by the, it's kept moist and shaded. So in that situation, yes, if we just took the mulch off, top dressed, and left it on the surface of the soil, that's not going to be the best way to do it. It's going to get dry. And it's gonna, yes, the ultraviolet would make for it not to be so good, and so we need to keep it moist. That's the thing. Okay. So Nathaniel says, I put their feed right in the hardware cloth compost rings and collect it every 18 days for a weekly compost making rate of 1 yard per week. You make 1 yard of compost per week? We need to see this. You need to send pictures to the Viking Discord. Please. I need to see how that is done. We need to be doing that. Ronvig says, the garden looks so much better thanks to you. Added much base fertilizer over the fall. Dwarf plants get huge. Not sure it's time to ripen. And pepper tomato breaks on itself. Can it be too much? It can be, but for most people, no. But I mean, if the tomato and pepper breaks on itself, that just means it's getting really big. It means it has a lot of nitrogen as well. So guys, check this out. When I talk about, these are my favorite. Now it can, okay, so the question was, can there be too much? And I want to explain to you. So these, I've been harvesting this about every day. Okay. So these are the Cherokee purple tomatoes, super delicious. And we get this much about every day, every other day. And we have 3 plants, 3 Cherokee purple plants. But so many people ask me about tomatoes and stuff, and I've done them every which way possible. Grown them up the string, grown them on the single stem, grown them on the ground, let them sprawl. I mean, all different kinds of ways. And I've settled on this is the best. So I made boxes for each one of them that are 2.5 by 2.5 feet by 12 inches deep, and they're placed directly on the ground. And I filled that full of high quality soil and Viking granular nutrients, and a little bit of compost as well. And then I planted one tomato plant in there. And then I put a cage. These cages are 2 feet circular. They're made out of hardware or out of a concrete reinforcement mesh wire. So they're very sturdy. And I put that in there. And then that's it. And then I put one marigold and one basil plant to help everything along. And these things are just enormous. And then I didn't do anything. I'm not pruning them. I'm not doing nothing. You don't need to do all that stuff. You really don't. In fact, I see more often than not, I see people way over pruning their tomato plants because they read online, oh, you got to get that airflow in there. You got to get that airflow in there because they'll get diseases. Well, for the most part, I mean, that is true. But also, for the most part, they're getting diseases because they don't have all the things that they need. They don't have consistent moisture, which stresses them out, and they don't have enough nutrients, which stresses them out. And so then they become susceptible to things. But when you grow them like this, just 4 of them, and they're spaced about 6 feet apart on center. So I've got 3 Cherokee purples and 1 purple bumblebee, boatloads of tomatoes, okay, just from those. And they're super healthy, and they don't have any issues. Now, the only issue, okay, someone asked if there was too much. Yes, guys, remember to hit the thumbs up button, please. Go ahead and do that. Thank you very much. The only issue is that I added so much nutrients that there's cat facing, okay? And I knew this was a possibility, but this is called cat facing, and it happens because of very high nutrient content. But look how, it's not really that big of a deal. So that is the only drawback to having a little bit too much nutrients in there. But most of them look like this, okay? Just super nice, super, there's no blossom end rot. There's nothing. There's no problems whatsoever. And so there is, let's see here, another one here. So see, there's some serious cat facing going on. That's the only issue with a very high nutrient thing. But that's not really that big of a problem. So we're getting so many of these, and they're not even remotely done. I just top dressed again and fed them some of the fertilizer that I will show you this coming week. I will show you the fertilizer that we made. Very simple, only 3 or 4 ingredients, and that just kicks them right back up. And so they are fresh, new growth is sprouting, and there's tons more flowers. There's just going to be tons. Yeah. So Meyer Lemons, inconsistent watering is more the splitting aspect. Now, I've seen only this several times, and it is only when they've been in a very high nutrient situation. That's the only time I've ever seen this, and I've seen it several times. But like I said, that's not really that big of a deal because they're still super delicious, and these things are amazing, especially with some of the fermented cucumbers. Yes? Man, Terry Goody says, I've got planted 27 tomato plants at 2.5 feet apart. I can't process fast enough. Yeah. Drew Black says, cat facing is several blossoms growing together? ? I don't think so. I don't think that it is. No. One blossom, one fruit. But it is definitely a, because there's only, I don't think that's what it is. At least it doesn't feel that way. But if you can deal with that, then the side effect is that you get boatloads of super delicious tomatoes. And these things have got all the vitamins and minerals in them that make a tomato taste like a tomato. It's not like the ones from the store that are hydroponically grown. Somebody Somebody earlier asked what I thought about hydroponic growing, and I've said that so many times before, but I'm not a big proponent. Only in certain circumstances, if absolutely necessary, would it be worthwhile. Other than that, it produces a vastly inferior product, devoid of the nutrient density that soil can give you. Yeah. But well, now I forgot what I was going to say. Anyways, Nima says, just tuned in, eating Cherokee purples right now. Oh, yeah. Meyer Lemon says, Nate, do you have a fermenting kimchi video? Yes, I do. It was like 2 years ago. Please look it up. Okay, cowgirl, we'll see you next time. Thank you, Mom Computer. Says you missed a super chat. Is that right? Where is it? Let's go up. Ooh, Garner Mo, $5. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, which JDOM formulations are your favorite? The book has so many, it's a little overwhelming. Oh, yeah, I know. It is overwhelming. Let me pour a little bit of tea here and have one sip of the final coffee from the morning. Now, the most important thing in the JDOM system is the JMS, the microbial solution. It really is. So make the microbial solution with the potatoes. Yes, I have a video on that. And if you're only going to make one fertilizer, you can sort of do a hybrid where you can just combine all the crop residues that you have. So I made a video on it where it's called, if you only make one fertilizer, make this one. It has like almost 1 million views or something. And so that's the one that I would make. If you just want to make if you just want to make a simple solutions, then that's what I would do. Now, the next thing I would do, but straight out of the book, I would say the JMS and the grass fertilizer, the wild grass fertilizer. Those would be the most important. And then the fish fertilizer. In my experience, the fish fertilizer is the greatest fertilizer of them all. Definitely. Everything loves the fish fertilizer. So all the other stuff you don't really need to worry about. It's for like farming, if you're a spinach farmer and stuff, there's certain things for spinach and stuff. So the Busy Girl, good to see you here, my friend, says this new chat format is hard to read, small print and only 4 lines at a time. Yes, well, I think we won't be doing it all that much longer. Well, I mean, if it keeps getting double the amount of views, then we're going to have to do it. So we're just going to have to get used to it. But if it doesn't, if this one just kind of is back to like the normal, and that was just an anomaly the past 2 weeks, then yes, we can go back to the other way. But, we need to get the views up because, we just need to get the views up on this whole channel. Shooting the Soil, what's up, my friend? Says JMS is my favorite. Lots of foam in the brew. Also, from my experience with the microscope, the fungi love it. Yes, JMS is a wonderful solution, definitely. So that is the foundation of the JDOM system and what I would say is the most important. VA Green says it's easier to follow along on the chat with your phone. Is that right? Yeah. So where are most of you guys watching? If you're watching on your phone, then this is a better format anyways. But if you're watching on a PC or on a computer, then a desktop, it's not as easy. So where are you guys? I'm wondering. So let's see here. I wanted to comment about some. Oh yeah, Jenny at McDonald says Bear stole my fish fertilizer. Okay, so guys, you remember that I couple weeks ago, I said that I had to buy some fish fertilizer. Yes, Viking headquarters ran out of fish fertilizer. And so we are going to be making more, of course. We have more being made, but it's a slow process. So I had to buy. So I used it as an opportunity to experiment with several different kinds of fish fertilizer. So I bought the Alaskan fish fertilizer, the Neptune's Harvest, also the, I forget the name of it, but another one. So I've got these 3 different kinds that I'm trying now. And, you know, like I said, I speak the language of the plants. You understand what I mean by that. If you're a regular viewer, you understand what I mean by that. So I can just tell what the plants respond to. And I can tell by many factors. So what I mean by that is that I can just tell over the years, based upon certain things. When I apply a certain fertilizer, I pay attention to every single little detail all at once about the plant. You know, is the plant up and praying towards the sky? Are the leaves erect and pointed up? Like it wants more, it's reaching out for more of it. Or are the leaves sort of swollen and thick and sort of so swollen that they're kind of weighing themselves down and they're not standing erect? You know, that tells you something, okay? When you look at the plant and you take it and you bend it, does it snap back right away or does it stay bent and then it slowly comes back, or it doesn't even come back at all, it just stays bent for a long time? That tells you something. Now also, when you apply a fertilizer, do flies all of a sudden gather around the plants and on the leaf surfaces? That tells you something about that. That tells you about the digestion, the stage of digestion at which the fertilizer is at. And so all these things and so many more all at once you pay attention to. And that's reading the plants, reading the experience. Now, that's why I have settled on over the years not to use the fish fertilizer, the J-Dom fish fertilizer, before it is fully digested. Not to use any of the fertilizers before they're fully digested. Because when you do that, you see flies all over the place. So you apply the fish fertilizer that's only been digesting for a month or 2, and you see flies immediately, and the whole garden reeks like fish. And that will attract pests. That will attract bears or whatever else is in your area, even if it's just cats. But if you let that same fish fertilizer digest for over a year until it's fully digested, you'll spray it and there won't be any flies. There won't be any smell, and it won't attract any pest. And there's no chance that it brought diseases to the plant. Now, this is all just from experience. So when and that's why I've settled on the FAA as my favorite of all the fish fertilizers. The fish amino acids in the KNF tradition is my favorite for all those reasons. It produces the finest end product. And these 3 fish fertilizers that I bought, and I'm applying them, and I'm watching and all of that stuff, they're garbage. Every one of them's garbage compared to the stuff you brew yourself, compared to the Viking way of doing it, which is a number of different ways, J-Dom, KNF, just also life experience, my own ways. Compared to that, it's not as good. They're just not as good. They're not fully digested. The Alaska fish fertilizer reeks of dead fish. You spray it on the plants and immediately there's flies in the area. Okay? And so it still works, but it's just not as good. I can just tell. The plants don't respond as in the same way that they do to the fish fertilizers that you make yourself. So I can tell that even with the Neptune's Harvest. The Neptune's Harvest doesn't smell quite as bad, but you will see in the upcoming video that I use that as one of the ingredients for the foliar spray. And I got a backpack sprayer, real simple. So you just spray. I'll spray the whole garden with it. And the garden loves the whole concoction. But using the Neptune's Harvest, the whole garden smells like fish. You know, and so I was like very concerned that it was going to attract raccoons and possums and stuff, or dogs even. And so it's just not as high quality as the stuff you make yourself. The fish amino acids, there will not be any fish smell. When you use a fish fertilizer, it should smell just vaguely like you're at the lake. vaguely like you're near the ocean, but not like you're in a back alley fish market in Bangkok. It should not smell like that. That's a horrifying smell. So it should not smell like that. Okay. Aaron Johnson says, that's true on the Neptune's harvest. It attracts the flies, deer, dog, and raccoons to my garden. Yeah, see? And so that's been a question from so many people. Hey, well, it's going to attract things to my garden. Not if you make it right. It doesn't. It doesn't. Even the hydrolysate, if it doesn't, if you make it right, it doesn't attract pests. So that's one way that you can tell that it's an inferior product, or that it's at least not fully digested. Which, if you're trying to pump it out for a business like Neptune's Harvest is, at $49 a bottle, a gallon, then yeah, you're going to get that stuff out the door as quickly as possible. You don't want to sit on the product. Exactly. Drew Black says, great info, Nate, because those products are not cheap. You're not kidding. $49 a gallon, and we probably use 15 gallons. Or at least 10 gallons of fish fertilizer here just for the home garden. But again, we don't buy anything. We don't. Well, it's different now with the Viking granular nutrients. It's different. But for many years, just the homemade stuff is perfectly adequate. And so buying a jug of the fish fertilizer just felt really weird. And it was like, man. So if I had to buy even 5 of these, that's $250 in fish fertilizer. That's like, feels kind of silly. Ronvik says, I hope you write an in-depth book of signs from the plants. In-depth info you have for the ones of us that likes details. That's a great idea, and that will be that will be like its own little book, speaking the language of the plants, something like that. And I'll explain how I came into this experience over those years in Northern California when like my life depended on these crops being the best they could possibly be. That is all part of it, because most people never have that sense of urgency with gardening like I did, that sense of super high risk that makes it all like, okay, I gotta learn this now, or else. So, but now I'm thankful because now I come back to gardening vegetables and stuff, and it's like, oh well, there's no more there's no risk, but all those skills still apply. You can just read and listen and see everything the plant, everything. It just tells you. It just tells you. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Happy Dirt Dude says, is it your birthday? July 24th was my birthday. Thank you. Ooh, Heather Fox, yes, says, my Bacillus thuringiensis came today. I'm excited to use it. Thank you for the suggestion. Yeah, guys, it was many years in the making. It's kind of like the IPMO that we were talking about in the beginning. I'm not just gonna say, oh, that's great. So I'm gonna just, okay, someone said that it works. Well, there we go. It works. No, it took me several years of people suggesting this for me because it just didn't feel right. It was like, okay, well, I don't know. I don't want to introduce some kind of bacteria or some kind of fungus or some kind of microorganism that's predatory into the soil or the garden. I just don't want to do that. Unless I fully understand its purpose and its capabilities and its limitations in particular, that it doesn't just take over everything. So it took me several years of, light research. And then I got serious about it this year because I was tired of spraying so much tired of the cabbage moth. That's my number one pest, the cabbage moth, definitely. It was my number one pest. And the Jerusalem artichoke, yes, that kind of keeps it away. The wetting agent kind of keeps it away and stuff, keeps them a little bit in check if you can but you got to spray that stuff constantly, like every week, a few times a week. And I'm just not into that anymore. So I went ahead and used the BT, Bacillus thuringiensis, after thoroughly researching it to make sure that and to understand the functioning of it. And if anybody wants an article, I can send you an in-depth article as far as what this does. And so after understanding that, I said, okay, I feel safe enough that it's not going to like consume the whole garden and all the beneficials and all that stuff. So I went ahead and used it, and guys, it absolutely wiped out the cabbage moth. I mean, I sprayed it twice, like 4 days apart, and that's it. No cabbage damage at all. And typically it's a heavy, heavy pressure, and this stuff just boom, wiped them out. And nothing else. I mean, I've still got thousands. I mean, I've still got tons of pollinators, predatory wasps, all that other kind of stuff. It only is for the caterpillar. But again, I'm only spraying it on my brassica plants. I'm not just fumigating the entire garden with it because it will get any caterpillar. So, yeah, that's very important. Look to nature. So it says, do we know the effects on livestock? Curious for my ducks. Yeah, well, this article goes in depth about the reason, the way that it activates. This has got a specific type of spore in it that can only activate in the high pH range of these particular creatures. And so the human gut microbiome, the animal, the ducks, the dogs, all the animals, their microbiome denatures the spore immediately. It cannot unlock and open the spore so that it grows. Okay, so there's no chance that it can. I mean, according to all of the science, I can't say this 100% sure because I don't have first experience with it. But according to all of the science and everything that I've read thoroughly, no, there's no chance that it can because of the mechanism by which it works. And so that's like what I'm like when people are telling me things. I'm like, okay, explain to me the mechanism by which it works. And then, okay, I get it. But these spores are denatured in the human because we have very acidic digestion. But the moth or something, it's a totally different pH range. And so we also don't have the specific enzymes that will unlock and activate these proteins. So for those reasons, I would feel safe, and for those reasons, I will. When we get the land and we have ducks and chickens and all that stuff, I will use this stuff definitely. But then if I notice, ooh, something's happening to the ducks, then I will reconfigure my thing. But that's what that is. Yes, Nathaniel Graham says, it is naturally present in soils, just not in these concentrations. So it is novel to the human gut in these concoctions. Yes, thank you. Queen RB says, need to remember to have a notebook open when I watch Nate. Yes, this is true. Yes. Drew Black says, so happy to hear this about BT. I have been scratching my head on that for several years. We'll try it now. Yes, I did too, but now that I tried it, I will absolutely keep using it. Now, Rocky says, from what I hear, this stuff is detrimental to bees. Now, I don't see this article explained to why it would not be, because the bees don't have the proper enzymes and pH range to affect it, and the bees are not consuming it. The moth has to actually consume it. They have to eat it. It has to enter their digestive tract. So it says specifically that bees are not harmed from it. So this is according to several different articles that I've read. Now, that's what that is. So Monica Baker, $5. Thank you very much, my friend, for the tip. I appreciate this. Yes. Wild Bill says, would a BT soil drench kill the Symphyllans? I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't think so, but maybe. So, did I miss a couple of, oh, yes, Freebird. Thank you very much, my friend. $20 via Cash App says, happy birthday week, Nate. Yes, that's right. Birthday week. Thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate that. Also, Gary Smith, $25 via PayPal. Thank you for the continued contribution, my friend. Says, great show. I appreciate you. Also, Donald Hughes, $5. Thank you, my friend. Says, happy birthday, Nate. Female flowers on 100% compost. Trees on west side, 8 hours. Sun, water, or Mother Nature every 3 days. Just started compost tea last week. Okay, well, we'll have to figure it out. I don't know, but see, the thing is, I don't know if they will then begin producing a bunch of female flowers. I think it might make its mind up early. That's why you have to be really on transplanting things like that, because they make up their mind real early. These kind of plants do. Shooting the soil says, I wouldn't BT the soil. The good fungi seem to be affected. Okay, so shooting the soil, I will. So that would be good enough for me, because I don't know, but I know that shooting the soil knows his stuff. So I would say that is case closed for me. So it says, I wouldn't BT the soil. The good fungi seem to be affected. Okay, so then I wouldn't BT the soil, guys. Because, I mean, it makes sense. And that's why I'm only, because there's so many creatures. There's so many different kinds of creatures that, the only things I'm really interested in are the keeping the cabbage moths off. Now, the symphyllans, they're such a major problem that even industrial agriculture has to abandon fields when the symphyllans enter. I mean, I've read up on these things big time. And everyone on Instagram is an expert, of course. And so there's beneficial nematodes. I see that I've had at least 100 of those comments. Beneficial nematodes. Okay, which ones in particular, and how exactly would that work? And what else is that going to do to the soil and stuff like that? And do you have experience with that working? Or just beneficial nematodes? Okay, well, please be more specific about that. But so if there was like an easy, just simple, quick fix for the symphyllans, it would be well known. But even the university agricultural extensions, they don't have a solution for that. Okay. The Robert via CashApp, $20. Thank you, my friend. Says happy birthday. All right, look at all this birthday love. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Let's see if you had a question with that, though. I don't think that you did, but thank you. Guys, we're getting the orders together for the Egyptian walking onions. We're going to be getting that stuff together. So next time I'll read out the list of the people that I have. There's still plenty of spaces. If you would like to get some Egyptian walking onions, it's $40 via PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App. Give me your address and we will send them to you. Yes, Robert, $20. Thank you very much. Happy birthday. I appreciate that, my friend. Let's see here. Okay, my uncle sent me a thing, says, watching the live stream now, but pretty sure since the new format changed, I haven't been interrupted by commercials. Wanted to know if others have the same experience. So have you guys noticed commercials? I think you have, because I'll see the number of viewers dip by like 50 all at once. So I think that you probably have. Muddy Paw says, my garden has been completely destroyed. Man doesn't believe in fences. What? What do you mean destroyed? What does that mean? Nathaniel Graham says, what sucks about them is they propagate in rich soils and mulch. Yeah, they infest really good soil, which is exactly what we have here. Mom Computer says, shooting the soil. What then happens when you compost the plants previously sprayed and use that compost in the garden? This stuff is another thing that the scientific article I was reading, articles, is that This stuff is easily degraded and denatured by ultraviolet radiation from the sun. So that's why you have to spray it pretty much at night, because even the slightest sunlight will denature these. They will die. And so this is very important. So they are, and it can be washed off by rain really easily. They're really benign. It's not like a persistent, it's not like a glyphosate or like a Grazon, an actual chemical that's been designed to function in a certain way and stays persistent in the soil for 10 years. It's not like that. This is a living substance that is, I wouldn't be using it if I didn't think that it was benign enough to be using it. I would not. It takes me a long time to adopt something new until it feels right, or until I start losing so much stuff that it's like, okay, either I use this or I don't get any collard greens. I'm going to use this, so yeah, that's the kind of thing. So Joe Peduzzi says, I've used aerated compost tea, and in my experience, spraying with liquid IMO4 keeps the pests and pathogens in check far better. It eliminated powdery mildew completely. Probably worth teaching it, Nate. Okay, that sounds good. I mean, if that's your experience, I get it. Now, I will say that properly done aerated teas can do the same. As far as keeping the pathogens in check and eliminating powdery mildew completely. That can also happen. But you're right. Maybe next year I'll at least show how to make it, because that's how we started. That's how we started, was making IMO. So, but that's why I'm like over it after the, but I should show how to make it. But we can definitely do that. And then you can decide if it's worth it or not. Meyer Lemon says, I have an ad block too and use Brave as a browser. Ooh, yeah. Glad you guys got them ad blocks. That makes sure the creator doesn't get no money. Thank you very much. I'm just giving you a hard time. So Meyer Lemon says, no commercials either. Project Old Man says, no commercials today either. Mom Computer, even you've got ad block. Man. Okay. No commercials. That's strange. I wonder if I press monetize on this thing. But yeah, that's cool. Good. Let's see. So Muddy Paws, did you ever end up answering about how your thing got destroyed? Yeah, I know. The whole garden got destroyed. But okay, let's see here. Now let's see. So the guys, a couple of other things, okay, before we have to go. Like we got our Brussels sprouts just starting. We got these red Brussels sprouts. So I'm gonna pick this one off here real soon, and then these things are gonna be thriving before long. See, this one is the gimp, so we gotta pinch it, gotta pull it out. Except I didn't have my scissors. I don't know why I did that. But got these under that shade cloth, and they're going to be growing up real good. Also got the Mammoth Red Rock Cabbage, which is going to get planted out here real soon. And we've got the, guys, the Rosa de Milano onions. Oh my goodness. I'm consistently loving them. I'm going to plant at least 100 of them next time. All right? Because these things are super delicious. Sharon says... Nate, can you speak on squash bugs, please? Now, squash bugs, again, they're like cucumber beetles. You can wait until later. Wait as late as possible. Wait until, July, the second week of July, the second or third week of June, maybe even the 1st of July before you plant them. That will eliminate the risk of them if you, or at least really help. Because there isn't a whole lot. Now, the BT can supposedly, I don't have experience with this, but once the vine borer gets in there, you can inject it into the vines, all right? But the eggs, so if you see the eggs, the ultimate slug solution will desiccate the eggs, yeah? So that will, so you can spray with that. Yeah. But if you see them, yeah. So Aaron Johnson said, I injected mine with BT and it works. Yes, nice. So there we go. Now this is the Rosa de Milano. This is the Yellow of Parma, and these things are delicious, and they will store all winter long. This one is my first year growing, but supposedly it's the longest storing of all the red onions. So we will see. I'm looking very much so forward to it. Whoa, we are way over time. Look at that. Having too much fun with you guys. Okay, well, thank you guys very much for the contributions today, the birthday wishes, the contribution in the chat, and all of the donations. Let's see if we had missed any. Did we miss any donations or anything like that? Let's see here. Picking them off like crazy. Sharon says, picking them off like crazy. I will try that. Thanks. Yeah, so the ultimate slug solution will desiccate the eggs. They will not hatch. So, but that's, I've just been super fortunate that we've just not really had, I think these plants are just growing so fast and vigorous, but also another good way to do things is to, when the squash is growing out, bury some of the sections in soil, because they will root from that section, and that just gives them more strength, more resilience. So even if they do lose part of it, then that you will still at least have, it will like grow a whole new plant. I've had this happen. Grow a whole new plant from the area where it roots. So squash are one of those things. Even the summer squash, you can just take part of it that's laying on the ground, bury it in soil, and it will put down roots and become its own plant. So if you're getting damage on one part, you can cut it off, like that. That does work, definitely. So, okay, guys. Well, thank you very much. It's been real, and we will see you guys right here every Saturday, 12 noon Eastern time for the live Q&A. I'll be putting out a video this week about a very beneficial foliar spray for blooming, fruiting, flowering. It's actually a homemade version of a product called Bud Swell, if that tells you anything. And we used to use it by the 5-gallon bucket load. So yeah, but until I learned how to make it myself, it's so much easier and so much more cost effective. So yes. And then to the Thrive Tribe, I will see you Monday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time on the Thrive Like a Viking channel, because you already know what we do, the meditation and all of the good stuff. So check out the links in the description, guys. I appreciate everybody that is shopping on Amazon through the links in the description. The Amazon storefront, yes. If you need any gardening things, that's all the stuff that I use that's available on Amazon, I put in my storefront. So go into the description and there's a link to get into the storefront. But once that browser pops up, anything that you buy in Amazon during that session, I get the credit for. So please, if you're shopping on Amazon, just go into Amazon through the link in the description and use that browser window, because then we'll get the credit. So it's better than Amazon keeping it. And obviously you guys are doing it, because since I started saying this and you guys have started saying, oh, okay, I'm going to start doing that, the contributions from Amazon have gone way up. So that's awesome. So thank you guys very much. That's the simplest way you can help the channel. If you're already shopping on Amazon, do it through the links in the description. Okay? That helps me keep this whole thing free of sponsorships. I get hit up constantly about sponsorships, but I just don't, that's just not what I'm about. Like wasting your time talking about, so this and this product is blah, blah, blah. But, I don't know if that has to be a thing in the future. I just don't think so. So, but that helps to keep sponsorships out of all the videos. I mean, zero. And that's how I like it. So, okay, my friends, see you next time. Oh, and you guys have been asking about the Viking granular nutrients. This winter, I'm going to make a huge batch. We're going to make like several hundred buckets this time. And so we'll have a supply. It'll be like in January or February. I'll do it early.
But it'll be only the 5-gallon buckets. Okay. And they'll be available. So we're definitely doing that this year.